Hello, we are the Racing Dudes After Dark. I did this very well when I did not push the button correctly. And now I push the button correctly, and all I see is Magic laughing at us. Hello, everybody. We are Racing Dudes After Dark. And by that, I mean I'm Nick Sievers. That's Nick Feldman. That's Dr. Ronald Tang. We were probably going to be on here for about 3 more minutes. And then Magic's probably going to end this and get Aaron in here to help do this. So we're here to cover the late pick 5 at Canterbury Park. Mainly because they said they wanted somebody to be on at night, and we said, well, what about a Cinnabona Downs? And they said, what error is that? No, leave us alone. So they said Canterbury. We said, great. So here we are. Nick Feldman, you are on Twitter and follow a lot of podcasts as well. So welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good to be on Dudes After Dark in this experimental fun time. And Canterbury tonight, which there's 3 turf races. They have a turf pick 3, which is going to go off here shortly. So I suggest everybody that wants to play that to make sure that you get your bets in. We'll definitely be talking about some horses here, but everything's good, and can't wait for the rest of the show. Doctor, how are you?
Good, guys. Nice to be on with you both.
Sorry.
It's a pleasure. I just finished some patience, and I'm ready for this pick 5.
So we do have the $1 all turf pick 3, which is races 3, 5, and 7. Race 3 starts in 4 minutes, and this is not Gulfstream, so the actual will start in 4 minutes. So Nick, I know you were looking at this as the potential play. Are you playing the all turf pick 3?
Yes, I am going to play the turf pick 3. Also, we'll talk about this as well. I'm going to try to take $50 and 10x that as well with some different bets, kind of a live money type thing. So that should be pretty fun. When it comes to this turf pick 3, real quick though, in this first race, I really like the 1 and the 4. The 1 looks like it's probably going to go off as the favorite. But my best bet's actually in the middle leg, race 5. I love the 8 in that race. There's a lot of horses in that race that have been, 1 for 20 type horses. And the 8 tried turf for the first time and won. And now it's coming back second turf. It's going to be I have a feeling it's going to get bet. But I still think it's going to be a pretty good price. So that is kind of my best bet of the night as well. Number 8, Smart Oxy. And then the last leg, I like the 5, which I think could be Lone Speed, and the 7, which is kind of also a sneaky top kind of bet for me tonight. That trainer is very good. This horse has some back races that I think are pretty good, and I think it shows confidence. This horse is moving up in class, actually. So $5 pick 3, 1-4 with 8 with 5-7. Real simple $20 investment.
Nicely done. You even posted it. Look at you. I was going to try and do it, and Magic showed me how, and I was like, I know how to do this. And then I looked, and I was going to screw it up. So I'm glad you were able to pull that off. Nicely done. And Dr. Ting, you play contests. Do you play pick 5 and horizontals normally, or you just?
I play contests, and I yes, my thing is
contest player.
Yeah, contest player, and I do pick 5s, rarely pick 4s, but pick 5s are my wheelhouse in terms of cash plays. I'm not a really good vertical player, but I've tried to learn how to do that for the live money contests. But I think my strength is the win place mythical contests. I think I do better in those, but I'm trying to get better at the live money.
I like it. So did you put a ticket together here, or you just?
Yes, I did put a ticket together here. So if I can give it out really fast.
I don't know. We have a second. So sorry, we got a little late. Sorry, we were on Racing Dudes time, so we were late today.
No problem. So the first leg, I'm going pretty deep. I'm kind of confused about this race, although I know Nick Sievers likes that 8. I thought it would get bet down, so I didn't use it. So I went the 1, 3, 4, 6, 7 in the first leg. My second leg is my single, the 5, Silver Dash. I really like that horse for this sequence. I think 2 races back is at Turf Paradise one, and I think it can repeat its performance again. I'm betting against the Mac Robertson horse, the 2, which I think is going to be on a lot of people's tickets. So I'm trying to fade that horse and putting in that 5. The third leg, which is the second turf race on the pick 3, I have the 1, 3, 4, 6. The next race 6, I have the 4 and 6. I have the 4 and 6, yes. And then the last race, I have the 1, 3, and 7. I think if my math is correct, that's 520. 20 times 3 is so 60. I don't know if my math all was 40 times 3. So it's a $60 ticket for 50 cents.
Nicely done. So we'll go deeper into the reasons for the picks. Race is about to go live, it looks like, and Magic has told me 3 things, and one of them is don't show the races because we don't want the stream to get pulled, and we don't want to get yelled at, and we really don't want to ruin their YouTube channel. So it looks like they're getting up to the gate as I watch my phone. It's all planned out, ready to go, and here we go. So I like the 3. So I would tell you the one horse not to bet is the 3 in this race. It looked to me like first on the turf, last out, 1 broke its maiden, going on the turf for the first time seemed to be a good enough place to go for a 10K claimer, a mile on the turf at Canterbury. So, there we go. So they're off and running, and I'm not even going to pretend like I can call a race. I can barely work a StreamYard and talk and move things around. So beyond that, I'm definitely not going to try and do
The 8 is off to a nice lead, so it's
right.
As I think Nick Seaver's like that horse, right? To be on the lead.
I was on the 3, which is in last. Nope, in 4th. Just kidding.
Yeah,
he's coming up.
The 8 that I like is in race 5. So this
I
like the 1 and the 4 here. So
okay. Well, the 8's on the lead, the 3's in second, the 5's in third, the 2's coming up.
So there is the contest as well tonight that we'll start talking about after this race, and we have lots of time in between these races to talk, so that'll be good too.
Yeah, we'll get to talk some Ellis races on Saturday as well.
Yeah. The 2 sneaking up the rail, but the 8's still, or the 1 sneaking up the rail, I'll take that back, but the 8's still holding on here. Could be a wire job, but the 1 could nail. Ooh.
Come on, 1. Oh,
the 1 is sneaking up.
Yep.
And it looks like, whoa.
Yeah. 8's gonna pull away.
That was a tight.
I think the 1. Oh, I don't know. It's too close.
Did the 1 come up the rail and get it?
I'm nervous. I don't like going out on the first race.
What a first race to begin the inaugural show of.
And of course, it's the 5 might even have gotten up. I don't know.
A head bob there. Yeah. So, wow. Well, let's see it.
So 1 was the 7-5, and 8 was 5-2. So
and the 5 is the bob at 23-1.
The 5 looked too far back to me, but
1 kind of pulled up also a little bit at the end. So I don't know if the 8 interfered with it, but we'll see.
Yeah. So we'll wait for the photo on that. It's a $10,000 claimer, probably the worst race ever talked about live on a Racing Dudes broadcast. So, we're here to help, bring the place up a little bit. So we got the next race, but before we get to, 30 minutes worth of that, I figured we'd talk a little bit about what we're going to do a little bit of here, which Nick mentioned when he was talking of trying to play it like it's a contest or an imaginary type contest with himself. I'm in the Canterbury contest they have on ExpressBet, but it's a $2 win place contest where you pick 5 races, which I just realized I was the start of the pick 5 and I haven't made a bet. So 4 races for me. So I can't even get 5 in. So nicely done for me. Good job. Good waste of money for me. And Dr. Ting, you were going to do this similar thing of talking about what, how you play contests and how you play things like this. So why don't you talk? I don't know. Let's talk about the race 4 first, and we'll get into other stuff after that, if that works for everybody.
Sure. So Yeah, I played the contest as well. I made one bet already. So in race 1, which didn't pan out, but so in these win place mythical races where it's basically 5 races optional out of the whole card, you basically, in order to finish in the top 3 to 5, that's where you get your prize money. It looks like you basically have to have 4 out of the 5 winners, or you need to hit the bomb in one of your 5 picks.
The
So
8-1.
the 8-1, lovely. Well, I didn't have that in my pick 5 either. Well, and that was the last one I left off, and I took 5. Yeah, that's how it works. But anyway, didn't think it would go wire to wire. Yeah. So basically, you need to have the bomb within these these 8 races, because if you don't, you're going to be majorly behind. And in these contests, at least 4 or 5 people will have the bomb, which is usually 10 to 1 or up. If it all chalks out, then you have to have at least 4 out of the 5 winners to get something from this standpoint. So that's how I kind of approach this kind of set of races. Look at all of them, and I kind of decide, do I think this is going to be a chalky type of sequence, or do I think there's prices that are there? And if there are prices, then those are going to be my picks out of those 5 out of these 8 races.
Do you have horses when you're looking at this that you just completely eliminate based on price?
Yes. Yeah. So, for example, the next race, I thought the the race 4 here, the Mac Robertson horse, Distorted Pro here, is 7 to 5. So I'm not going to play that horse. I would never play that horse ever in a win place $2 mythical contest like this, or something in, for example, like an NHC, or even in Pick and Pray, because the opportunity cost, if you take this horse and it's going to be the favorite, which it looks like at 9 to 5, and somebody else and some other horse wins, you're already behind the 8 ball. So let's say even a 5 to 1 or a 6 to 1 comes in, you're going to be like $15 or $16 behind already, and it's going to be hard to catch up if there are no other 7 or 8 to 1s that'll come up. So I'm not going to ever kind of pick this horse. I know there are other people that have a different strategy to play it, where they rather knock off maybe 5 or 6 2 to 1s or 3 to 1s, but you basically have to be perfect if you're going to play that way. And I've never won a contest that way. As Nick Sievers usually knows, when I win a contest, I usually have maybe 3 or 4 winners, but they're at 8, 10, 12, 15 to 1 or something like that. So you're never going to see me win a contest if I have to hit 8 winners in a row.
Do you have a... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you have, based on the amount of players playing in the contest, do you have a projected total that you think you're going to get to? Or does that not really factor?
Yeah, not in live money, yes, but not in Pick and Pray, because it's almost really hard to, in your mind in Pick and Pray, once you've capped the contest, you kind of have in mind of what, if you think this is going to chalk out or not. So I don't particularly have a number, because there's times where I've hit win place and I have like $130, but I'm still 5th. So it's not like a specific number. Versus live money, if you usually get 10x what you start, you're likely going to be in the top 5 or 6, if that makes sense. So Pick and Pray is very hard to get a certain number, if that makes sense.
Yep. And this contest today is live, so it is a little different than the normal pick and pray you'd get on your horse tourneys, but it is 5 races out of 7, so you are basically betting on all of them, unless you're me and you missed the first 3. So I'm betting on 4 of them. But it is, when you have a horse like this, it's 7 to 5, and as Car Rahman said, maybe 1 to 5. Even the place money here probably is just as good as the win place money, and if not, it's close enough that you feel good when that one wins, and doesn't when it wins, you feel much better than not having the nonsensical favorite. I can
Yeah.
almost speak. You'd think I do this for a living or something. So, Nick, we were talking about doing a $50 to 10 times your money, which is kind of what people do in your typical live money contest. So, what is your thought in this card? What are your thoughts and what are you shooting for in terms of what horse are you aiming to get to get you that number that you're looking to hit?
So, over the last year, really being a part of podcasts and listening to people on Twitter and getting to meet people and talk to people and seeing, who's doing well in the BCBC and different tournaments like this. One guy who I've talked to a lot is named Matt Miller, and, you can listen to him on many podcasts. And, basically his simple strategy is you get to the end and you find out, what amount. So I know that I want a 10X. So I need to get to $500. And I look at the last race of the day, and the 7 horse is going to be my target horse in that last race. I think it's a good price at 5-1 in the morning line. I don't think it's going to get bet too hard. So I'm projecting it to go off like 4-1. And so, 100 times 4 plus my money back is 500. So that's my target. So going into that race, I want to have $100. I'm starting with 50. So in this scenario, I really only need to double my money up to that point. Now, in some of these contests, you're going to have minimums, like where you have to play a certain amount of races. And so you have to kind of fight that. So, my plan here in race 2, because my actual best bet of the day is actually the 8 in the next race. So I'm going to play a small $5 double with the 2 and the 5 into the 8 here. And I'm going to risk my $10. Which that if either of these horses win, then I'm alive to $100 based on the payouts to the 8 if he wins next race, and I still have 40 left. So if I get to in my double on the first leg, then I'm kind of alive to that target amount that I want to be already. If not, then I plan to just win bet the 8 in the next race with $40, and and at that point, if I'm above my goal or if he loses, then I'm out, and that's kind of how you got to play this sometimes. So that's going to be the start of this. We're going to play a small $5 double that costs 10, and then we'll kind of hopefully we can be alive to that target amount for the next race, and we'll see how that 8 does in race 5 when we get to it. But that's kind of how I've learned, or that I've seen some of these big, live money tournament players are kind of trying to be strategic in that you kind of work backwards. And if it's your day and you're hitting, you're going to have a chance. And if it's not your day, then then you go home and you wait for the next one.
Yeah, that was the way that I've done it, and I've not been nearly as successful as I'd like to pretend that I have been, but it is definitely picking that race that you like the most. So if you like the 8 in the 5th race, which we'll scroll down there real quick because we have it, especially if it's 10-1, doubles into it, exactas with it is how I've played a lot of the time. I don't believe that's the right strategy, though, a lot of the time, unless you have a real strong opinion with it somewhere else. So if I have the 10 to win, especially at 10-1, just a win bet probably makes the most sense. But trying to get cute and put it as the top of an exacta to get 20-1, like, it's silly, right? So if it wins, it wins. And why worry about the rest of the race coming in the way that you want it? So my biggest opinion is the last race too, and I'm against you. So you can at least eliminate one horse to actually win that last race, because I like the 2 in the last race. So congratulations, you would now only have 6 horses to beat. In this coming up race here in the 4th, we can get to this because we got 15 minutes or so. This will be lots to talk about in a 6-horse field with a current 7-5, and it's not updating the odds, but I think when I looked earlier, it was way lower. So Doc, Nick's on the 2 and the 5 and a double. Who do you like in this race?
Well, my single was a 5 here. So I really like the 5 here, and I'm going to play. I'm forced to play this race basically because I only played 1 out of the 3 races in the contest. So I'm forced to play this race. So I don't love my odds on the 5, but I'm going to take them because I think it's a solid winner.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. I have 4 plays left here, so I'm going to go a little bit longer, and I'm going to try and do the Doc thing where I pick a long shot that comes in. So I was actually on the 3 who won last time at a 5K claim, are now making a fairly big step up into a state-bred, but it's a Minnesota state-bred. But went gate to wire last time on a pretty forwardly favoring track, at least according to what Timeform is telling me. So slow enough pace, it seems like. So the three fits in my little head, and it 6-1 currently. I like it better than the 9-5, though. I do think the 2 distorted pro is more likely. I think the 3 birdie machine has a legit chance, and I like it 6-1. But I haven't looked at probable, so I do wonder if I'm actually going to get that number. Which, as we've said, I think the 2 goes off short enough, so probably okay. But that's sort of where we're going to land, I guess.
Yep, and I want to just go back on what you said on the mythical win place turning point that you said. So, as you said, a place number, a high place number can get you some good score. So even for example, 20-1, 30-1 horse getting you place, you get a max on win place mythical of $22, and that $22 can sometimes pay more than the winner. So I've done that at NHC as well. My first NHC, I had 3 place winners that paid $22, and that's it. But that was $66, and that $22 is basically a 5 to 6-1 winner. So that's solid. So I've won some mythical $2 win place tournaments with, I think I won one tournament with 6 place horses. So I didn't pick any winners, and I still won the contest because my long shot place paid more than the winners.
Wow. Yeah. And the interesting part about those win places is you do have to worry about the place pool. I never bet place in real life. It's never a bet I even consider, because if I'm doing that, I just say, I'll bet the exacta with it. But when you do hit those, and 6 of them is better than getting 3 winners a lot of the time, especially if you're picking 4-1 winners. It's 8-1 place is normally pretty good, and I'm not even going to try to pretend to do math in my head while talking out loud in front of people. So we'll just say that I'm right, and we'll move on. And Nick doing math is always fun. So I do want to talk to Dennis for a second. I'm not going to name names because it's my first night, but just know that yes, we were told no such luck. So maybe next time. So do you guys play Canterbury very frequently? Is it a track you play at all, or is it just Nick said, hey, let's do this, and you guys were like, well, I don't know, sounds good enough to me?
I don't play it regularly, but I have played it enough that I recognize some of the jockeys and trainers, and I do think that I love the announcer, by the way. He's the Vikings play-by-play, I think, on radio. He's just at times he's a little over the top, but I just absolutely love it for a small track like this. It just brings a lot of fun when you actually listen to the race and he's calling it. And I enjoy it. They have good turf racing, and they have what was it, 2 weeks ago? They had, or maybe last week, they had a bunch of stakes races. And
yep.
So I enjoy Canterbury. I've heard it's a fun track to visit as well. So I have not been up there, but
that's what I've heard, is that it's it's in Minnesota. We're all in California, so we're going to talk nicely about Minnesota for a minute. It snows and it's cold all the time. So when it's sunny and nice, you go out and do things. It's sunny and nice all the time here. Me and Nick are in Sacramento, where it's 1,000,000 degrees outside right now. So we don't go outside in the summer, but Minnesota, it's the time to go out. So they get a good on-track handle. They get a good on-track crowd. So it is a good place to go and watch a race, I understand. And my daughter's birthday is on the 29th of July, and I told her they had corgi races, so I almost talked her into going to Canterbury for her 10th birthday, but unfortunately my wife has vetoed that for some unknown reason. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Canterbury in July? Like, what else would you be doing? So I got that going for me. Doc, do you play Canterbury very often?
Good question. I mean, I played, interesting. Canterbury was one of the few tracks that I played when it was COVID. I believe they had some decent pools at one point. I think they had some record pools. They had a pick 5. I think that was like $120,000 into it. So when it was pretty good. And sometimes Canterbury is in some of the contests, but there's a really nice live contest for Canterbury in September that I sometimes aim to qualify for, because that's one of the last kind of major live money tournaments where you can get a BCBC seat as well as NHC. I think last year they gave out 8 to 10 BCBC seats. So that's kind of the last big live money tournament where you can get your seat at BCBC. So, but yeah, I think Canterbury has some nice large fields with turf racing. You can get some prices, and I've hit a couple of nice pick fives there.
Nice. It is interesting with that tournament because they partner with ExpressBet, or so it seems based on what I'm seeing, because they're doing a $40 contest today that if you get into that, you get into a $300 contest to get into the $2,000 contest. So it's I like to say the Somich way of getting into qualifying. Yep. It's like, I'll do $40 for free, then $300 for free, and then $2,000. And hey, now I don't mind losing $2,000 because it's like, it was $40. So now I just fire at it. I wish I had that mentality when it was my own money, but I'm not that good of a horse player, nor, picking winners. But that is the other question I have. And I've been watching ExpressBet, and one of the things I hate most is they don't update the post time when I'm looking at it. So it's always wrong and saying 27 minutes. I know there's no way that's right. It's 11. I can look at 11 minutes too. Yep. There you go. So we have plenty of time to talk. And look, we just have 4 more of these in between races, and we get to talk about 6-horse fields. It's going to be great. They're going to fire us in like 5 minutes. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. Yeah. When I get fired at work, I always know it's coming. And, I have that feeling in the back of my head at the moment.
No, so. I got faith. We gotta pick a winner here. And once we pick a winner, then they can't fire us. That's the way I look at it.
It's true.
Is that true? Wow. Well, then I'll be fired. You guys have a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed doing this show. It'll be Nick and Doc, and not Nix and Doc. Okay. So the interesting thing to me that I always kind of get a little confused by is these state-bred races. When you go to like a state-bred in Kentucky or state-bred in New York or state-bred in California where I live, I kind of understand how they work and how they run a little bit better because I watch it more frequently. I don't ever think of a state-bred in Kentucky, or I'm sorry, Minnesota, because it's like, who breeds horses in Minnesota? But clearly enough, because they got a lot of these state races. And so you get a lot of shippers out of Turf Paradise and Oaklawn. Does that factor in to you when they come out of, an Oaklawn race versus a Turf Paradise race versus fresh off the bench? Do you have any strong opinions on how that would look?
I used to, I feel like, overall, if you're a Minnesota bred horse, you're probably not as quality as some other of the Kentucky bred or, New York bred these days. The hard part with the state bred is you have to, and I learned this over the last 2 years, you have to really understand what it means by that. Because like in New York, they say it's a New York bred horse, but it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. So like, I don't know if it's as a big deal sometimes. What I like to see is if you see the horse has been racing against open company before and doing well, and now dropping in against horses that maybe haven't been running against open company. And so sometimes you can find a price because he's been running against better competition and, he may be holding his own or even not. And then now he's coming against somebody who's, it's essentially a class drop without it being a class drop in certain situations. So I think that's important to kind of look for, is just see who they've been running against.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the interesting thing to me about Minnesota is always that a lot of them don't race over the winter. So they stop racing in September, then they come back in May and just start firing again. And so those are all the ones that go 5 furlongs versus now where they're, I bet this is 5 furlongs. So I said 6 furlongs. They're stretching out today, but that is a tough place to go. So do you play Turf Paradise at all, Doc? No, because it's dirt. You don't even touch dirt. You hate Oaklawn. You hate Turf Paradise. You're a grass player. You're a Kentucky Downs guy.
No, yeah, I don't touch turf. Oaklawn, sometimes I leave that up to the Haltermans to handle Oaklawn. They're the experts there. No, yeah, Turf Paradise, I do not play unless it's part of. They do have tournaments with Turf Paradise. I think one time there was a first chance, last chance with Turf Paradise, and me and Somich both hit 60 to 1s back to back there. That's my fond memory of Turf Paradise.
That does not shock me in any way, shape, or form. That you just go to Turf Paradise, you're like, well, I don't know, there's a 60-1. It's gonna win. And it does. Whenever I say a 60-1 is gonna win, it runs last and it barely breaks, it walks half the time, then it gallops out like, oh look, it's really gonna do something here. So yeah, that's the part of my game I'm trying to figure out is I'm much better at picking 4-1 to 8-1 type winners than I am to get anything bigger than 8-1. I rarely get winners that are that big. And I'm a typical idiot that just kind of bets on who's the favorite. Oh, toss that one. But who's the next likely? Okay, well, now I'm smart. Now I've really got them figured out. Now I'm going to win some money. And that's clearly not the way to cash tickets long term. So what do you do to get to bigger prices in a race like this? Or do you, like when you have a race like this where you're on the 5 who's 7-2 and the 2 currently sitting at 4-5, you're not looking at something like the 4 who's currently at 15-1, or do you look at that and then just say, well, not even close, there's no chance? Or is there some backwards method that you can teach me in 3 minutes that I can pick a winner in this race?
Wish I could, but I do look at the law. I mean, tournament play has allowed me to look at, get a fresh eye on looking at long shots and not just discount them because they were 15-1 on the morning line. And also I've learned that, the morning line makers aren't always correct. So whenever there is an overlay, I like that. But, it's not like I look at every single 15-1 in every single race. I mean, it's all about context. For example, here, the 4 Big Boy McCoy. I did look at it, but I couldn't convince myself. I mean, he hasn't raced since September. The last time that he did race he was 99-1 in a 15K, 15K allowance optional claimer. I tried to look at the trainer patterns to see he has a new trainer, but the trainer's about like 7% in the past 3 or 4 months. So nothing really jumps out to me. But if there's certain things like, for example, horses that are second off a layoff, the same jockey has stayed on for the past 3 races and almost won, is still 15-16-1. Those are kind of some factors that I come into play. But for example, this one, I don't really see much of it.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too is that when you're sorry, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Nick. I'll add something after.
Yeah. So the layoffs and the company is always something that's really, really I've looked at more and more recently, which I think it's made me feel smarter about what I'm looking at, as opposed to before where it's like, oh, it was 15-1 last time and now it's 9-1, now it's 2-1, now it's definitely going to win. It's like, well, no, maybe it had a good trip last time, or maybe it was up against nothing last time. So I'll take the 3 birdie machine in this for my example here, because I like it in this race and currently sitting at 38. No, that's the exact. Sorry, 7-1. Was 1-9 last time at Canterbury, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, but in a 5K claiming race. This is a step up. And I think a pretty big step up in an allowance race. Yes, it's a Minnesota state-bred allowance, but 1-9 at 5K claiming is kind of, not saying a whole lot. Whereas now you see it stepped up big enough where it's 7-1. And I feel like that's good for me. And the way that I'm looking at this is because I have reasons to like it. And then I can go back and look at, oh, it was doing this last time, or it did this other thing. And now that it has this, it actually, it has the pace that it ran last time. It ran fast enough in the 6 furlong race he ran last time out. So it's like, I can make a case for this. And if I'm going up against a 4-5 shot, it really feels good, as opposed to taking this one, my 3 birdie machine as a 4-5. It's like, well, no, that's a really silly way of playing it. But I like the idea now of like, it's ran well on this track. It ran well at a lower class, when they're stepping up, and it fits in ways that make sense. And when you're playing it at 7-1 versus 4-5, that's how you can really, make it make more sense in the long term.
And so this is one of the things too that's interesting about playing. Like for me, I'm trying to 10x my 50, and I initially said I was going to play a 2-8 double because it was paying 20 at the time, but I'm looking here. There's $2,500 in the pool, and now it's paying 7. So obviously it's getting bet, which makes me feel good, because it actually looks like there's a possibility that my 8 is going to be the favorite next race, which I don't know. That's sometimes that makes me feel good because it makes me think there's a lot of people that likes it, but it's kind of sucks because you're not going to get anything close to that 10-1. So I'm actually going to change, and I'm going to go $5 with the 3 because our buddy Sievers likes the 3, and that's paying 77-1 right now into the 8. And then I'll stick also with the 5 and go into the 8 there. And I'll let this 2, at 6-1 on the double. If that wins, then we still have our best bet the next race, and we still have our plan. So I'm gonna change up here.
And that's one of the beauties of this game, and what people hate about it at the same time is that we have the double, so we have a pretty good idea, but we still have 2 minutes, and so money's really going to start pouring in because the double pools have been, I believe, and I'm going to be wrong here, so we're going to see more than $2,500 normally. So you're going to get some money in there, but the late odd changes are what normally screw people up, and I don't disagree. I think it sucks and it's terrible, but if you look at the double pool and the probables beforehand and the will pays, you should at least know that, you're not getting, I scrolled down here and then came back to talk about it. You're 10-1, you're not going to get on the 8 in your next race, right? Like morning line is just not right because it's the favorite in the doubles pool. So while I'd love to have 10-1, it's going to be 3-1, I would guess. I have a little spreadsheet I made that I can actually figure out, at least get a relatively good guess of what it's going to be, which I'll maybe do next time, that I can actually try and get spreadsheets up while talking. Probably not a great idea. But it is knowing full well now that you're not going to get that. Does that change the way you're going to play this to try to double or 10x your money? Or do you just say, nope, that's my play, I like it?
Well, the good news is the amount of money that I need to hit my plan has not wavered. So even if this 8 the next race goes off favored, he's probably going to be 2 or 3-1. And so I'll have $40 on a win bet there. That puts me at 160 if he hits, and then I'm well above what I was going to be anyway. I do think that if there's something to think about, that if you might have to redirect your plan if the math doesn't make sense, right? I mean, there is a little bit you have your plan on your handicapping, but if the math doesn't make sense, I mean, you kind of have to change up your plan as well. So,
yep. And they are in the gate, so they just broke on my side. So I'm guessing you guys saw it before that because I'm way behind. It seems like so. They're off, and 6 is well behind. 1 is pushing some pace, and 2 is up there, and 3 is up there. So, got what looks to be a contentious enough pace that we may get.
5 is looking pretty good here.
5, he's good enough. He's rounding up here.
Yeah. This 2 is going to puke. So
he's going to drop anchor. We'll see.
Yeah, come on, 5. Get past.
Come on, 5. Get up. A little bit of traffic.
3 there. Coming on the outside a little bit.
Yeah, the 3's coming. The 6 is coming around to both burnt horses. Come on, 5. Good enough.
5.
Very good. Well, that was the good. I got some money in the contest now. There we go.
I like that. Look at that. Now they can't fire us.
There we go. We got we got the contest home. We're back on, guys.
We just beat an even money favorite.
There we go.
And what's best is when you guys said the race was over, they were at the top of the stretch for me. So I'm still watching them. And hey, guys, look, they won. Good job.
All right.
Good news is we held the double held at 19-1. So
nice.
There you go.
Good $95 coming here if we hit that next one. So
it's an excellent live money bet here. This is exactly what you're aiming for.
What did he end up going off at?
It's 3-2.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-2. What an odds. So much for my two. So much for my. It was 7-2, then 2-1, then 3-2. Anyways, I got a winner. That's all we can say. But anyway,
maybe we have too much influence on this pool. I don't know.
Yeah, look at that. Everybody in the whole state of Minnesota is listening to this show. Oh man, got to make it.
5-1 pretty easily, and when it was all said and done. Which, as you said, when he was coming around the corner, and I saw minutes later, like, oh yeah, he is rounding up. Look at that. So
yeah, go ahead.
was going to say one thing on this one thing on this too. We talked about this Minnesota bred horse coming in from some bigger races, which is something that you like to see. However, I'm a anytime you leave Brad Cox and you're going, I know that he's a local trainer, and he's pretty good. But the one thing that concerned me on the 2 a little bit, which is why there was some other horses, like the 5 I had included, is on dirt. Was this race on dirt? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't like layoffs. I think that, on turf, I don't mind them to a certain extent, but on dirt, I just think in a dirt sprint, it's really hard to come off a layoff and win. You're just asking that a lot. So, I could see why, this was a good horse to play against.
Yeah. The other thing is that your comment about taking over for Cox, and I think a lot of people played the 2 because Mac Robertson is a pretty good trainer here at Canterbury, so they may not have seen the quote unquote drop off. I mean, although I shouldn't compare Mac Robertson to. Cox is probably going to go after me on Twitter, but I'm saying that some people don't see that as a huge downgrade because Mac Robertson has a decent percentage at Canterbury. And the other reason why I played against this, which is kind of like a caveat that I use earlier in the year versus later, is that it's a 3-year-old against older. And usually early in the year, I think 3-year-olds are a little bit immature facing older. And I kind of use that kind of handicapping tool when I see the lone 3-year-old versus the older. I usually end up choosing one of the older horses, usually in the beginning of the year. Obviously, when you get to the end of the year, everybody 3 turns into 4. As Somich says, all the horses have the same birthday when they're listed on the form. So that's another kind of tool that I use in handicapping sometimes.
Absolutely. And is this time of year that you would start saying, well, it's now a 4-year-old?
Yeah, so right here in the middle of the year is when that kind of tool, I kind of put it down into my lower uses, but usually in the beginning of the year, definitely.
Which, to me, I think it comes down to the number of races they've run. So If they've ran twice, maybe they're feeling older. I mean, they've at least in theory grown and grown more into their body. But if they were born in April or a later birthday too, then maybe they haven't had that growth spurt. Whereas you get enough races under their belts, or hoofs, I guess they would be. They probably don't wear belts, I would imagine. Maybe saddles. Got under their saddles. They start to take that growth. So there is that has it going for them. So we do have race 5 coming up. I believe everybody is dead in their pick 3s and pick 5. So we do have a pick 3 starting here. I also just realized, looking on my express bet count, that there's a couple of quarter horse races going later. So maybe I'll be firing at that because I do love me some Los Al on Saturday night, where I was running my numbers, what I bet last year. And sadly to say, Los Alamitos was my 3rd most bet track of the year. I spend no time handicapping. I fire at will and maybe drunkenly hate myself or drunkenly love myself and then go bet Australia. So it's been it's quite the degenerate they have running this thing. So that's why we brought other people on.
On the few races I've ever bet quarter horses, which is I can count on my hand, it's usually like I've got $6 left in the account and I'm firing 10-cent supers. But I heard like during COVID, Somich was playing. I don't know
or something.
What track he was playing, but he always said he was outside. Like outside and the inside, right? And so what I always, it doesn't matter, it's probably only the one thing, but I always just box the 2 outside and 2 inside. And honestly, you'd be shocked at how many times you'll randomly hit a try or something just off that.
I hit the first quarter horse race almost every week, and then I get real full of myself. So I hit $1 trifecta that pays $20. I'm like, okay, gonna spend another $80 on this track now because now I'm firing. So we'll see if they let us come back. We will do some Los Alamitos quarter horses. That'd be really quite something. So this is your best bet or your best play or your best thought of the card, day right? Here at Smart Oxy, the 8, 7.5 furlongs on the turf for Minnesota breds, 3 and up, never won a race, one other than, and Smart Oxy opens at 7-2. or probably already open beyond that, but took some money like we expected. So are you going to keep your bet like you had said, trying to get to $100 here so you can get to your 500 in the last?
Yeah, I'm alive in the double to 95, and I've got $40 left of my original, and I think I guess I got to think. I mean, this would be like a strategy thing where, do I want to just go all in here and be up, or do I want to save a little bit? But at that point, what's the point of that? I guess you'd say, because I'm trying to, I have my plan for that last horse, and
Yep.
I don't necessarily know if it makes sense to like be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just hold back. I think I'm probably just going to play maybe I'll play a double, a small double, $5 double again with the 8 into 2 horses the next race, and then the rest I'll win bet, and I'll be alive in my double. And if this 8 wins, then I'm sitting good. So I think that's going to be my plan. So I'm not going to really change much.
Well, so then this is going to be the question I'll throw to Doc, because he's the guy following contests, and he's taught me enough that I think he knows what he's doing. If Nick's alive to a $98 double and he wants $100 for the last race, is this where you actually say, I'm alive to the money I want to be alive to, so you leave the 8 alone? Or do you actually fire more at it because you think 8's going to win regardless? I might as well get as much money out of this race as I possibly can.
Yeah, if it's so what I've learned in live money, if it's your key horse of the day, you want to milk that play as much as you can, because you want to maximize your profit there. So, but obviously you have to, I mean, in any live money race, the last race is very important too, because people are going to be firing tries and all this stuff to try to get to that number. So if you think that the next races are secondary, that means you don't like them at all, I would milk as much as you can here, so you save up for the last race, so you have some leeway to go from that standpoint.
So Nick, what do you think? Are you gonna listen to my devil's advocate that is not very good at this, or the guy who actually knows what he's doing in contests? I guess will be where we pose the question.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things where I've heard this too. If your best bet of the day wins and you're not walking out with, so I'm kind of all in on this 8. It's a
okay.
I feel like if it wins and I don't try to maximize this, and then I get to the last race and then I'm gonna just bet, I'm gonna go all in on this 8. So I think
no guts, no glory. There we go.
Yeah. And then it's a kind of a good lesson too, because, one thing I'll say, which is interesting about, like, let's say you're playing BC format type things where it's not just a live money win place, right? So you can do an exact, you can do a try, you can do doubles, you can pick a win bet. One thing that's interesting is, obviously, like BC Day, the Breeders' Cup Classic is the last race. And so most of the time, that's a pretty interesting race, and you're going to have some sort of opinion there. But in today's type situation, what if your last race, you don't have a good opinion? And then what do you do, right? So my thought is, if this 8 does win, I might as well put myself up as much as possible to then be able to maybe come up with multiple scenarios for the last race. Instead of just going all in maybe on one horse. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but I'm definitely going after this 8.
Well, then I guess the next question of that, which I believe you're right, and I believe that's the way to play it, especially when you have a stronger opinion in a race like this than you do in the race 8, which is probably a 75K maiden claiming Minnesota bred, where you have no real strong opinion, but you're going to force yourself into opinion because you're trying to hit a number. If you hit your number in this race, then you can kind of milk it from there. So if you get to your 500 anticipating, then you don't have to make any more bets. Now, in a contest format, you can see who's chasing you. And when Mike Somich is 2 behind, he's going all in to catch you. But in this situation where you're just like, I want to 10x my money on a random Wednesday night at Canterbury, you can stop playing, which is also an interesting idea. So in this case, we're going to put you a little bit on the spot of you're trying to 10x your money, and then you want to be entertaining after that. So all in on the 8 to win, or do you have a big enough opinion in the next race that you are going to play two horses in the next in a double type situation?
I am going to play a $5 double with the 8 into 2 horses, just in case this 8's right, and then I can continue on, and then I'm still getting that double, and I still will have a $30 win bet here. So I'm going to play 8 into the 3-6 in the next race.
Okay.
Although I do need to check my. Let's see here. I don't believe those are the favorite, but let's check the payouts.
I think the favorite in race 6 is going to be the 4.
Yeah, so I like that because the 6 is kind of a long shot, and I kind of like him. So I mean, he's the 3's going to actually probably be the favorite on the double, maybe. Or no, wait, it's so early in the pool. The 7-4 right now is
hard to. It's only $1,400 in there, so it's
we'll see. We'll let that churn for a little bit.
Yeah. And at Canterbury especially, there is computer money that comes in late, but there is also not so much on Wednesday nights, but those Saturday night cards they have, there is a lot of on-track money that comes in. So you can take advantage of it in that situation. This situation, I think, wait till you get 2 minutes in or 2 minutes to post and then start making final decisions, but having an idea of where you want to go and realistically picking the number you want to get in your double. So if you are getting, 10-1 or 20-1 or 30-1, then you can make that choice if you have 2 or 3 that you're kind of going between. Dr. Chang, go ahead.
Oh, one thing that I've also been trying to do as of late, like there's, you watch so much things and you listen to so many people, and odds are obviously important. It's a mathematical game, but there are times where unless it's a situation where it is just absolutely hammered and you're getting a 2-1 double, 3-1, 5-1 double, I've talked myself out of a double that hits more times than not, just because I'm like worried because it went from 11-1 down to 8-1. And I'm trying to think about, well, now it's getting bad and I don't really like it. And then it hits. And I just tell myself, I'm not that good in some of that to worry about that. Now, I think to avoid the playing a favorite into a favorite type thing, but if you've got a decent kind of bet there, I sometimes think for me, it's better to just go with what you've thought. And if the odds move a little bit, don't get too caught up in that.
I've listened to too many people talk about prices being so important to then realize I'm betting $10. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm betting $2,000 and I need to get the right price because it matters, it does matter. And I'm not ever going to say that price doesn't matter. But at the same time, it's like 11-1 or 9-1. Why do I care? Right? Like, it's not like I'm betting enough money to pay my mortgage on. I'm betting enough money to buy myself McDonald's tomorrow or not buy McDonald's. So it's okay to take a little bit shorter price if you're right. I'm on the exact opposite though, where I talk myself into doubles that miss and never out of doubles that hit. So, I need to stop betting so much, as it turns out. I'm learning this, saying it out loud to other people. Maybe Nick just needs to stop betting so much. And I think my wife's watching as she sends me screenshots. So, Kim, I don't bet that much, I swear. Dr. Tang, you're in the contest. Where are you going here? Because you do have, right? You have to play the rest of the way out.
Yes, I have to play the rest of the way here. So I liked the 8, but the price is, I kind of looked at the leaderboard to see what's going on right now. So the leader's at some like $32 and I'm at $8. So got about $24 to make up in about 3 races. So I am going to take the 1 at I'm going to take the 1 at 8-1 for this. What I like about this horse, I mean, so how I see this race going out is the 8's. I think the 8's going to go to the lead, right? Nick Sievers.
Yep.
And you're hoping for it to go wire to wire, correct? That's how you expect this horse to win?
That'd be my assumption. Nick, do you agree that you think it's gate to wire on the 8?
No, I don't think it's gate to wire. I think this horse is going to stalk the speed.
Okay, so who do you think the speed horse is going to be, the 5? Or the 6?
I think that there's hang on, let me check one thing real quick.
Sure. So while he's checking on what he's checking, I thought the 5, 6, or 8 were going to be up front. And if there is a speed duel between 2 or 3 of those, I see this race possibly falling apart. And then, out of the closers, I was looking at the 1 and the 7. And, from a pure contest play, I'm playing the 1 based on its 8-1 price. I think it's an overlay. I made my own price for this horse to be around 5 or 6-1. So 8-1 looks delicious from my standpoint. Bethke's is an okay trainer. You got Wade on as a jockey. He's a very sneaky jockey. He's been successful. I think Wade has already won one race on the card today. So that's what I'm looking for the 1.
So I'll just hop in real quick, Nick, where Doc, the 1 is a $15 double and the 7 is a $16 double. So I think you're going to end up with a pretty similar price on those two. Yeah. The doubles here do hold up pretty well. Nick, do you think the 8 goes? You don't think the 8 goes gate to wire? Who do you think is going to be on the lead in this race?
I think the 3 or the 4 will be on the lead. One of my, I like that. If I didn't see the 8, this is one of those races where I kind of have some different angles that I like, and like the 3 to me, I love dirt sprinting than going into a turf route. It just seems like a lot of times I like it more with maidens than horses that have already run a little bit, but this horse just broke its maiden. Its speed figures, I use Brisnet, but its speed figures are kind of consistently just inching along, and now we're going to go into a turf route with a good trainer, a really good jockey. I would expect the 3 coming out of a dirt sprint to be a potential gate to wire horse. The 4 also came out of a dirt sprint last year in September. We just talked about how they don't run over the winter, and then just showed up on a turf race. Didn't have the best, just it kind of went out there and just ran along. I expect this is that Joel, I don't know, Burned.
Yes,
he's
Burned.
Really,
yes.
He's probably my favorite trainer out here. He's really good.
Yep.
So
yep, he's very good.
I look at those 2 horses as being potential wire. And then obviously this is one of those where the 8, based on his pace, if he breaks well and from out there, I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't be. I was just kind of thinking that he might have a similar trip as last time.
That makes sense. I use Timeform. I believe in the pace projector pretty well. I then also realized that the pace projector on non-winners of 1 other than and a Minnesota bred on a 7.5 1-turn turf, maybe. So I do think that it favors the turf or the dirt horses coming to dirt to turf as more speed favoring and more upfront, which is typically true, and I think it is more than likely what happens. But it is they have a gray bar, which means no pace, no speed. So I do wonder if we do just get a kind of merry-go-round type race here. I have found that Canterbury turf plays a little speed favoring, so I do kind of like the ones up on the lead, and I'm on the 7, which I think is going to be coming from off the pace because I think there's enough pace here. So I'm going against what Timeform tells me, which is smarter than me, and against the speed favoring, which I know is true. And I'm going to pick one coming off from farther back. So everybody, you're welcome. I've talked the 7 out of the winner circle. So if you have those bets, you can cancel them now. Doc, you are on the 1 because you think the price is good. He's holding currently at 8-1. The 7 is down to 9-2.
Yep.
What else? Do you have anybody have any vertical ideas here? Any exact trifectas that you guys think are worth anything? Or Doc, do you have a different opinion?
No, I thought this race was kind of wide open. That's why when it's wide open, I usually don't like to play verticals. In terms of any doubles or whatnot to the next race, these next 2 races were not my strong opinion races. I mean, the next race you have a favorite that probably has a high shot of winning, the 4 and Bridal Twister. Also, I like the 3 Princess Livia there, and like Seaver's 6 Magic Glass. So if I were to do a double with my 1, I would go with the 1 into the 3-6 probably.
Okay. So if you're because you're playing the 1 because of its price in your win place tournament.
Yes.
Do you play a similar strategy in a live money tournament, or do you say, well, I actually like the 8 the most, and the price is good enough, or is it a straight nope? One is the best value in this race, and I'll live to fight another day if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I play my live money with my win plays kind of similar, but not. I mean, in the sense that I try. So with the live money, and I've also talked to Matt Miller type of thing and how he plays, but I don't. I mean, I'm obviously he's one of the previous BC champions, so I'm not. How Matt usually likes to play is he likes to what he says. Instead of using a laser beam to shoot a target, he uses his sledgehammer to hit the target. So what he usually likes to do is he likes to pound, maybe a 4-1 or 3-1 that he thinks is a lock, and then he'll go from there. I used to play a little like the laser to the target before, where I was trying to, kind of skedaddle with, $100 exactas. Maybe my $100 exacta would pay 20 or 30 to 1. That gets, that gets me to maybe $20,000, but how many of those am I going to hit? So I've kind of changed my kind of strategy to these things, where I'm starting to pound these 4-1 to 6-1 exactas or doubles, and I've seemed to have a little bit more success in those.
And I'm the only one here that hasn't talked to Matt Miller, because he doesn't talk to people who are bad at picking at horse racing, but that's okay. I've listened to him on enough podcasts that I believe we're friends. At least I tell myself. I tell myself that I'm friends with Magic too, and I talked to him once, and he just yells at me and tells me I can't do things. So
Magic's friends with nobody. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all right. I feel good about it then. Do you play tournaments normally, Nick, or are you more of a just regular cash playing what you play day to day?
Normally just cash, but this has been the kind of the year that I've been wanting to get into actual tournaments. Now, I have not actually entered one yet. I like to practice and understand first before I do that. I do know that there's some element of actually just entering and getting into one and doing that also, because you kind of don't know until you figure that out. But I do think like exercises like I'm doing now help you prepare for that. And I've done, on Twitter, I've posted like I'm going to do a practice. I think this is a great exercise. You do practice BC with $75 instead of $7,500, and you do like on a card like Belmont or Churchill, it has 9 or 10 races. You say you pick the 9 races, 7 are minimums, and I think it's $6 minimum if you're doing 75, if I did the math right.
Yep.
And you put it together and you try to play, for that situation like BC. If you think about where they are at the end, they're anywhere from like 100 to 150. So if you have $75, you're going to want to be in that, I think 1,300 or 1,200 to 1,300. So that's what you got to kind of target. Yep. And you got to kind of look at the day and play like we're doing. You got to kind of work backwards and pick your spots. And you try to navigate your minimums as best as you can. I think that's something that's interesting. I think there are certain people that look at a minimum and I've seen before where they do like a $600 show bet on someone, just trying to preserve the capital. I don't know if I would do that. I think I'd just take my chance that I can handicap a race and I got some opinions. Let's try to hit a double. So, but everyone, there's so many different successful ways to get there.
Yeah. The one thing I'd say about that is the BC is 2 days with the minimums as opposed to the 1 day. So there is a little bit of a difference there. So what you're doing today, I think, is the good strategy of trying to 10x your money, because typically it's 10x your money twice in a BC, and it's not quite that much, but close enough that doing a 10x of a 1 day card or 10 races is probably a pretty good way of doing it. So I just wanted to tell Vinny, wait for the quarter horses. Then you'll know why we're called Racing Dudes After Dark. So we do have 2 minutes as they are approaching in terms of they're showing the horses walking on the screen. So I got that going for me. That was almost a good segue. I almost pulled that off. One more race, one more beer. I'll nail this thing. So with 2 minutes to go, what is your double looking like at the moment, Nick? And is there some change in your ideas, or is it paying what you're looking for?
I'm not, knowing that the 4 next race is the favorite, I'm I feel pretty good about playing the 3 and the 6.
Mhm.
Didn't play him for a lot because I'm focusing on this 8. I really don't want to spend,
Yeah.
that much money into those 2 horses. So I'm feeling good about this. I mean, I will say the amount of times, maybe this is just me being like, I guess only remembering the bad times, but the amount of times where I liked a 10-1 horse that got bet down to 3-1 and it actually wins are very little. So that makes me a little nervous. It's like, I know it makes you feel good because obviously there's, sometimes the power of the people who are people overall are usually right. And when you see it like this, that's a good thing, but I don't know. We'll see. So, but I looked at it and I loved it, and hopefully it hits.
And it is at Canterbury. You're right more than you are wrong in terms of the line being off. So when you love the 10-1 that gets bet down to 5-2, you know that it in New York it would have been a 3-1 morning line. So don't feel like you are too wrong. It's much more of the lines aren't necessarily the best at Canterbury. It's the one thing I've learned while watching it. And I don't even know how to make a morning line, so I would most certainly not talk bad about someone making a morning line. But I do have some questions when it gets that far off. So they are loading into the gate and off. Am I way behind still, or am I caught up?
They just broke. It looks like.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe I'm slightly ahead. Now I'll tell you who wins. Feel extra smart. So the 5 is on the lead with a 6 length and a half, 2 lengths behind. So 5 is going to try and wire him.
Well, I didn't predict correctly who was going to be on the lead, but I did predict where the 8 was going to be. I like where he's sitting,
Nice.
so hopefully that'll work out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought the 5 or the 6. So I guess. Oh, and there they are, the 5 or the 6. If it wasn't for the 8, so.
You'd end up at 4-1 on your 8 smart
Yeah.
oxy. So
Load up there.
you got a good enough price there that you could feel good about.
My horse got pounded down to 7-2, folks. I don't know if that's bad or good. It looks like it's kind of running.
It's bad for you and your pick because I'm on the 7 and I'm also at 7-2. So we both picked fairly short prices.
So
is this 8 going to have any kick? I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see.
I don't think
Looks
so.
like it might.
It looks like it might if it can.
No, I think this 6 is going to get it.
The 6 is going to go. The 6 is.
I think the 7's going to close. Nope, he's going to knock it right into the 4 and blow himself down.
Yep, there's a 6. The 6.
I think Michael Austin in the chat had the 6, so
yeah,
that's a good pick. One easy.
Nice.
So next week we'll have Michael on the show picking actual winners. Unlike, one of us will get thrown off and Michael will replace us. So, and by us, I mean me. So hopefully Magic can teach him how to run the StreamYard and do it correctly.
The 6 at an overlay at 5-1, morning line 7-2.
Wow.
I did not see that. I thought it was going to stay at around 3-1.
And I like the 7 closing, but
yeah,
he ran into the 4 and then stopped his close and ended up coming late. But I don't think he got the exact. I think we got whatever was inside of him.
Yeah, I tend to I let the 6 beat me every time. He's a 1 for 14, and there's other horses in here that seem to possibly have a chance to improve with less chances. And he did have, he's been at this level quite a bit and pretty consistent runner. And I guess, in this situation, the consistent runner sometimes wins the race when the others, don't show up their second time or moving up and down in class. And so it was a good pick.
Nice. He was second off the layoff. I see here, maybe a little form cycle here. The last race, he was up front and kind of ran to how he ran in September by kind of closing a little bit better. Oh, there's an inquiry, folks.
Oh, on the 6.
The 3 was second.
Wow, the 3 went off the favorite. Interesting.
Yeah. That was a very interesting odd switch there as it went off, but there is an inquiry.
In the one note I made,
probably not on the winner. it's probably
It was pointing at it, but I don't know how the inquiry
Yeah, I don't know how that arrow.
It was just a big arrow going.
Yeah.
Like this guy's in trouble. So I made one note to myself about this whole show. I was like, I'm going to be prepared, and I wrote a note about how do you look at horses that are all coming out of the same race, and I didn't mention it once. So I'll save that question for next week, and we'll handle that, or maybe we'll have another one later on. So. Yeah,
I think it's going to be on the 3 because the 4 took a really bad step.
I think the 7 ran into it when the 7 tried to make it.
So
because the 6 is not involved in this. I mean, the 6 has run away from the 5. The 6
was five lengths in front of her.
Exactly, so. 5 lengths in front of the trouble. So yeah, the 6 should not be involved here. So. The 6 stands.
It's 3 or 7 who will be involved, and then I don't even know if. I guess at the 4. Oh yeah, the 4 just I think tripped, so they might just be looking at it just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that the best thing about watching a live YouTube show about people talking about horse racing is watching them watch an inquiry, because there's nothing better than watching an inquiry by yourself. So now you get to listen to 3 people look at an inquiry and talk about it. So. That's what we're here for. Magic's went to bed. He has a kid. There's no way he's watching, so we're fine. He can't yell at us. Aaron may yell at us, but I think he may enjoy us. He may actually find us funny at this point. So, can I also say, just as an aside, one of my favorite things about watching horse racing is when they have the inquiry and they rewind it and the horses run backwards away from you. Like, it makes me laugh every time. And I'm probably just a 4-year-old child just being an idiot, but it makes me laugh. It makes me happy.
Yep,
it is on the
3-7.
Yeah.
The arrows are in
the arrows are back. I do like the way they do that inquiry. That's not literally pointing him out.
Didn't Horseshoe at one point last year kind of put you into the steward's room and they were kind of discussing it, and then they kind of axed that off after people criticized them or something? How they were thinking about how they were doing. They're like, no, the Twitter all went crazy. It's like, no, that's completely ridiculous. So now it's closed up again. So no transparency.
So there is actually a waiting room back here, Shoddy, and you can see what's going on. And there is nobody else here. So they probably just left. They said, okay, well, we gave them a shot. We had our fun. We'll forget. We'll lose their number. Oh, and now I just see, this is why they were going to lose my number, because I clicked the one underneath you and got this one. Sakar Ramwad says, I love how roaming part had a steward go to the broadcast booth after the decision was made to explain it. So maybe Doc put that one up and it wasn't me. So not a mistake. Just pointing out that I didn't make a mistake.
I do like when they try to explain. I just think transparency is better than anything else. And
absolutely.
Just like however many times you see a tight photo finish, and sometimes they immediately post that there's a winner, and you're just like, I've seen horses that are a head apart and it takes them 20 minutes, and here on this nose finish, it's like, I guess they already figured that out. It's just insane to me. And it's always when you're the second place too. It's like,
of course, always, of course.
All right, so we're going on to race 6 after the inquiry. So I'm going to just.
So I'm out on my quest. So that's fun. But you know what?
It was a valiant effort. I thought the plays were good. They were solid to get you where you needed to be.
I didn't say that horse racing had transparency. I said that I wish it did. I like it. So.
You would like horse racing to have transparency. Exactly.
So I have to tell you guys that I'm sitting in my office, as you can probably tell, and I don't know if you hear the sirens going off, but I work on a fairly busy street, and I just looked over as you were talking, and there was a fire truck going the wrong way on the road. I'm like, oh God, that can't be good. And now I look, and they're literally blocking the traffic in front of me with sirens and everything. So if it starts hearing sirens, it's me, and I'm gonna at some point just pretend like I have to go do something and see what's going on, because this is kind of interesting.
I thought the sirens were going off because Shoddy gave us a $50 tip.
Yeah.
That was a shot. Shoddy's great.
Wow. Thank you, Shoddy.
This is fantastic. Thanks, Shoddy. Appreciate it.
Now somebody figure out.
one thing I was going to ask you guys, and for everyone in the chat as well, where do you guys plan to be in person at the next horse track, or where's the next place you'll be in person watching the races live?
I will be at Sacramento in the fair circuit of Northern California, where they start the races with the Arabian race, which is always the way to go. So I will be. They do the fair circuit. Northern California goes right now. They're in Pleasanton. They will come to Sacramento next, and then Sonoma, and then they go up to, is it Redding or Crescent City or some crazy place up where like 5 horses race on a bull ring. So that's where I'll be. What about you, Dr. Tang?
Yeah, I don't know. It probably may be BC at Santa Anita. It was supposed to. I was thinking of doing the Del Mar live contest if I could get in, but the wife nixed that. So it'll probably be BC at Santa Anita unless I go to Santa Anita before that.
That's fun.
And yeah, Felton, where are you going?
Whitney weekend, Saratoga.
Nice,
So
Nice.
my aunt lives about 30 minutes outside of Saratoga, and I used to go and visit her for Travers weekend all the time. I had a good streak going for Travers weekend, and then once COVID hit, it kind of broke the streak there. And this summer we decided let's head back, but I'm gonna change it up and go for Whitney weekend, which is August 5th, I believe. So I'll be on track there, probably Saturday. For sure Saturday, obviously, for the Whitney and all that, but then probably Sunday as well.
Nice. No,
Nice.
now you got us all jealous.
It's a great weekend.
So I am going to pull up the Stephen Foster entries because we're still waiting on the inquiry, at least when I looked 3 seconds ago, and still unofficial. Looks like the 6 is
The 6 took the
Up
picture
3.
already. He's back in the barn.
holding
6-3-1. The 8.
7. Looks like 7 got taken down.
Yep, 7 got DQ'd.
Well, good thing I didn't win Severs, because he would have been pissed.
Just because I. Yeah. That's how it goes most of the time. Yeah, because it was so much better than everything else. They go up against him. Race 10 at Ellis Park, the P patch, as they say. And I don't know who says this. I've just heard it like 3 times on different podcasts. So I'm going to believe those people are telling us the truth. So I'd fill us the screen well enough. Magic won't be too mad about that one. Let's see if I can stretch it just enough. He said that if you can fill the screen, it's better. So I'm doing my best, Magic, I promise. So you guys, but I'm not supposed to show the ads. This is where the problem comes. So anyways, Stephen Foster, when you're into the Breeders' Cup Classic, I believe.
Yep.
Right? Yes, I think that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Not being run at night because they're not at Churchill. It is not at night, or that is at night.
No, it's at 5:26 maybe.
When
So maybe 5:26 Eastern.
I will say, I
4:26
just absolutely
Central.
love West Coast time for all this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Be on
So
Breeders'
it'd
Cup
be
Day.
2:30 our normal person time, 5:30. So we have the 3-1 favorite on Smile Happy, 4-1 on Rattle and Roll and Proxy, and 6-1 on Stiletto Boy and Last Samurai, and 12-1 Speed Bias, 20-1 Happy American. Feels like a lot of the same horses we've seen run against each other. I don't know, the last 4 races like this. So any strong opinions, any ideas here, Dr. Tang?
I kind of described this race to Aaron this morning. It's like a lot of B- to B+ horses racing against each other. So I don't see any consistency, so any of these horses can win. But looking at the race, if I had to pick one horse out of the race, it would probably I'm taking West Willpower. Flavian Pratt, Brad Cox. Ran a nice race, 2 back at the fairgrounds, grade 2 winner. His Alashiba effort was I mean, tried to go wire to wire, but ended up third place. So that was a kind of a disappointing effort. But I'm hoping the Cox juice is strong this Saturday.
And Nick, what do you think here? Do you have any strong opinions or an opinion at all?
Yes, I have an opinion here. I think that looking at the entries, I think Stiletto Boy, Speed Bias, and West Willpower are all horses that definitely want to be very forward. They're either going to try to control the race or they're going to be up there. And Smile Happy showed us a little different running style last time out as well. He was much more forward than he's been in the past. And I know everyone who's a fan of the shows or pretty much everybody in racing's talked about Joel Rosario lately has just been kind of bad, but I still believe I've picked my spots with Joel and I haven't felt the wrath that I guess everyone else has felt. And he's, in my opinion, in some of the biggest races, he's one of the best jockeys there is. So I think the horse fits him well. I think Proxy, if he puts Proxy 4 to 5 lengths off these leaders, Proxy's going to be running late, and I really like Proxy in this race. I think he's the winner. And I do think that the Coxor's West Willpower will bounce back as well. So I do like him. I don't like the Smile Happy that Brian Hernandez is getting off. It seems like to me they're owned by the same people. Obviously his agent, they've been well aware with McPeak. Like it just feels like to me that's a clue, right? So he likes Rattle and Roll more. And I know sometimes that's a dangerous game to play, but I sometimes think that's where I'll go with there, and so that's kind of how I see the race. What about you, Sievers? Have you looked at this much?
I didn't look much. I looked for a few minutes, and I just said, "Well, I've read the PPs. I don't know 6 times in the last year, so I know pretty much what's going on." And I don't quite understand why Rattle and Roll is 4-1 in this spot, having beat a good chunk of them last time. And I understand Smile Happy won at Churchill, and West Willpower seems to make some sense, and Doc makes a good enough case for him. But I didn't love the Alishiba on Derby Day, or I guess it'd be Oaks Day. It didn't feel like it was the best of races. So I don't love anything here, and I most certainly don't love a 4-1, which I think is going to come down on Rattle and Roll. But I guess I'm going to kind of lean on Rattle and Roll, but not in some strong like, oh, you gotta play Rattle and Roll. He's a for sure winner, but I think he's the likeliest winner. If you get something close to 4-1, I feel okay about that idea.
Yeah, Rattle and Roll's the kind of the horse where is he been beaten up in the grade 3? I mean, I know they're all kind of the same kind of horse here. I don't think anyone's like established themselves as a true grade 1 quality. We can count on them. But for me, Rattle and Roll is kind of like, I'm bad at this, and I'll do this till probably the day I die. But I'm just like, I look at him, he's on a 3-win race streak. He's raced a lot. He's raced back. The last 2 races were like very short 2-week time period. And I just feel like it's one of those things like where it just feels like he might be up for like a little bit of a letdown here. So, but there's probably sheets out there that kind of can tell you if that's going to happen too, that I don't necessarily always look at. So it'd be interesting to see what like the people that use those sheets, whether it's the rags or the there's another popular one that sometimes
Thoroughgraphs.
Thoroughgraph, where they come in over the PPs.
Yep. I agree that the 3 wins in a row and coming off of an 8-5 and coming back 4 weeks later is a bit of a stretch. But he's 4, and they kind of brought him back to win some races and to race him, it seems like to me, right? Like if you're bringing, at this point in time, given the way horse racing has gone, you're bringing these horses back in order to try to get either win some money or get some type of grade 1s or, name recognition so you can play commercials on TVG that you have a sire next year. So you're probably right, is what I'm getting at. But I'm trying to defend myself, and I can't come up with it quickly enough. So yeah, toss right on.
I mean, I do
Sorry,
like,
Scotty.
like I just said, I do like that Hernandez. BJ picked him.
Yeah.
My thing is like, smile happy if. Here's what happens for me too. I look at jockeys. I know I probably shouldn't, but I just cannot bet Corey Lannery, and I'll let him. If Smile Happy's turned the corner and he's a beast, and that Ali Sheba really is a legit race, and he's ready to go, then I'll tip my cap and I'll let him. I'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
So
I wrote him back in May of 2022. Obviously in the Kentucky Derby. That's when he rode him, and then ever since he has. So he's getting back on board now. A year later.
Do you take? I don't look at jockeys very much. I don't find there to be that much to go on jockeys, other than when Irad's on a horse in Naira that I'm going to get half of the price I should.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think they're all good. Now, there's obviously better ones than not better ones, but in the grand scheme of it, they're going to ride the best they can, and they're going to try to win the race, and they'll make mistakes. I've made 12 mistakes in 40 minutes here. So hour and 25 minutes. Wow. They're still letting us go. Having them make as few mistakes as possible. I was listening to something yesterday, and they were saying, well, Tom Brady throws an interception. He comes right back out and he gets to play again. You don't get to see the horse again for a little while, but mistakes happen with athletes like that. So you can't blame them entirely, but you can definitely throw out ones, I guess, based on jockeys, I guess, is an argument I will make. So Dr. Tang, do you play jockeys as a thing, or is it something you don't care too much about?
No, I look at the jockey definitely. And I mean, looking at jockeys who's stayed on the same horse 3 times, or are they staying on the 4th times, jockey trainer percentages. I look at those, but they don't kind of overrule other handicapping tools that I use. I mean, I use them in conjunction with other things, but sorry, I'm the new president of the Joel Rosario Bell Curve fan club here, so I can't stand him now. But it's been good because I faded him for the past 3 months, and it's gotten me wonderful things. So, but I'm just waiting for Rosario to have one of those 5-6 day wins, and then he'll be back. But he's got the yips for some reason. I mean, he's been like this for the past 3 or 4 months. And it's not like the horses that he's been on. He's just, I mean, the horse is a closer, but when you're 12 lanes off the pace, you can be the best closer you can, and you can't get him there. So I've had some questionable rides. I mean, the most obvious ride that was questionable was, I think, 2 weeks ago when he was on a horse and he was up 3 lengths, and he kind of didn't really.
That was just this past. That was only a few days. Yeah, that was.
Sorry,
that was last week.
That was last week. I thought. Okay,
that was Agent Creed on like a Thursday at Belmont.
There we go, Agent Creed. That is it. And I beat him there, so that's why I remember that. Irad won that. That was my single with Irad. So like something like that. I mean, he's such a good rider, and for him to have like a brain fart like that is shocking to me. It's just shocking to me. I mean, but because I've seen him ride wonderfully in the Breeders' Cups and in Grade 1 stakes, and it's just he's doing this even in like allowance claim races. Like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on, but I will continue to fade him and count my money because so far I've been pretty good.
So I just want to jump in, Nick. 1 second, sorry. The 3 was the favorite in the doubles, and it's been scratched from this next race. And we were here to talk about Canterbury, so just a heads up. I mean, we have 12 minutes to let's see, a Philly Amira 3 and up, non-winners of 1, other than not a Minnesota bred, so we know off the state breds. So we do have some races there, but we will continue this conversation. And Nick, I feel like I've stuck you in a box of you only bet jockeys. So do you actually look at jockeys that much, or is it just something you notice with Rat on Roll keeping Brian Hernandez Jr., or do you care that much?
No, I mean, I don't just bet jockeys, but I've realized this. So we talk about this is a game where you're betting money or either whatever it is. And I just look at how many times, like you take a look at like Luis Saez, okay? I can't even tell you the last time I remembered anyone going, oh my God, what a horrible ride by Saez. Most of the time it's, I can't believe he was able to do that. That's amazing. And so I look
Right.
at like that and just say, how many times do I want to look at a horse? I like the horse, I bet the horse, and then I bet, and I looked at the jockey, and I kind of agree with you. I get that they're all, they're all obviously to a certain extent, they're all really world class
Yep.
compared to some things, right? But there's some that just seem to make way more mistakes. And I guess I'm more depending on if I'm putting my money on some. There's a lot of times where maybe your opinion's tied or like you have a couple options of where you want to go. And to me, I'd much rather, if you're telling me I got to bet on Saez or Lannery, I'm betting on Saez more often than not. And I can pass on Lannery. I said this on Twitter the other day. How many times I just saw that IRAD right now is like, people think that he always gets bet down so hard, but if you look at his numbers, like there's been times where people have left him at 5-1
Yep.
and he just wins. And so if you're just patient, more patient, and you can wait for those times where maybe a not so great jockey is on a favorite and he makes a mistake, and then you've got Saez sitting on 4-1 and he doesn't make the mistake. And in how many times it's like, well, Saez just won 3 in a row. And so I think that's what I kind of look for in jockeys now is it's not necessarily that I'm just betting them, but I do like to see, a pattern, or like Doctor said with the trainer jockey, or just in general, I'd rather go with the stronger jockey. And sometimes it screws you over, but more times than not, I don't think it will. So
Yep. Agreed.
I heard I had to have patience, and you're telling me I have to have patience to wait for a price on Irad Ortiz, and I'm over here betting quarter horses at Los Al. So maybe one of these days I'll actually listen to people that are smart and do that. So we do have 8 minutes to race 6 for the Canterbury 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Non-winners of 1, fillies and mares. Any opinions here? I know that neither of you were talking too strongly about this race, so we can go a little longer on that. So now we can bring this one back up. Anything here? And with the 3 scratching, does that make a huge difference? Here, I'll ask 3 questions at once.
Originally, I was 3-6 here, and the 3 scratches, so I like the 6. He's taking some money. One thing, here's my angle on the 6, really, is that he broke his maiden on debut, and then he went straight into a stakes race. And then we haven't seen him since, and that was when he was 2 years old. And so now this is his first race at 3. There could be much improvement. Good Magic has been on fire.
Good Magic.
We got a 22% jockey and an 18% trainer. And I look at this like this horse could be a lot better than this group, or maybe it needs one, but considering it's not going to be the favorite, I like the 6 here a lot.
Dr. King, you seem to be agreement. You're on the 3 and 6 as well.
Yes, I was on the 3 and 6. The problem, my little problem here is that I thought the 3 was going to be the speed, and I thought the 3 and 4 were going to go at each other. But now the 3 is gone. The 4 has a bigger
huge pace advantage.
Yeah, huge has a huge speed advantage now. So that's the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned of. The question is, with his huge advantage. In the past two races, 6.5 and 6 furlongs, he couldn't hold on. So is he one of those horses that drops anchor, or is he going to race to where he was at on February 3rd at Oakland, where he went wire to wire? So but he has a huge speed advantage now. But if the race does fall apart, I like the 6 as well to close. The only issue is that, yes, long layoff. He's the only 3-year-old in this field, but as I said, now we're in June. That doesn't play a bigger factor, but he has. Hopefully, he was entered in his stakes. Hopefully, he maintains that class, because that was the quote unquote classiest race out of the rest of these horses have been in the previous races.
Yep. So not to throw too much cold water on, but I was also on the 3 and the 6, and so now I've scratched myself into the 6 as well, and makes sense. And I like the idea first as a 3-year-old, first off the layoff. Figure that he does have that move to get better and faster. So let's hope we're all right. I had a big look at the 2 in the next race. Coming out of Southern California, has been running, kind of all over the place. So I was looking at a double of the 6 Magic Glass into the 2. Oh, I only have the 1 race. All of them. That one. The 2 is Tisnona, whatever it is. Running as an 8-year-old is interesting, but it's been running at Golden Gate. 2 now at Canterbury. Ran well enough, and now switching back over to turf, or switching to turf for the first time. I can't remember, but coming off a 10-day layoff, I was interested in the 2, so I'm going to play a small double of the 6 into the 2 in the next race here.
One thing I got to note, I feel like the 6 is going to win this race due to fate.
So
Look who won the race.
My big idea.
Look who won the race that he's coming out of. 2 Phils.
Yeah.
So 2 Phils was retired today, which kind of sucks for horse racing fans and just in general.
I hear about if it's always a party at my office at 5:30, and I just always miss.
So Magic Glass, he finished 12 lengths behind 2 Phils. If 2 Phils was in this race, he'd be what?
Yeah.
1 to 15.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, I guess we should just continue that talk about the jockeys, because now we've talked about this one and we got 4 minutes to post. So still some time.
Oh,
is there
one other thing I was going to say about the jockeys? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go.
When it comes to Rosario specifically, so for me, here's what you do with Rosario. If he's on anything except straight speed or straight closer, just don't even bet him. Okay. So that's one thing you can do for me. It's like, if he's on speed or closing, that's the only 2 times I would ever bet him. When he makes most of his mistakes are when he has to rate or somehow be like mid-pack. And I don't know why, but those seem to be always the times where people complain. So to me, it's like, and yes, when he's a straight closer, a lot of times I always say he's the best exacta jockey there is, because he'll fly and just miss, and you're just like, but a lot of times he gets up and gets home. So to me, it's like straight closer or straight speed. There's nothing better than when Rosario's just, kind of loping along out up front, and that you're going to have all of that strength in the finish, much like Saez.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
One of my favorite speed riders, dirt, turf. I mean, he's solid. He knows how to relax that horse after the second quarter, and then he has enough to finish. He's great on the speed of Saez as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, still got 3 minutes to go, so we can fill some time. This is easy. Canterbury, easy to talk about, right?
If you want to go back to one other thing too, but going back to Ellis, I will say one of my favorite horses is running in the race after the Stephen Foster.
Ew.
So the 5 horse, and I'm not sure how you pronounce it exactly. I probably should know. Zygira.
Yeah, Zygira.
So she was my pick last year in the Breeders' Cup, and she was way outside, broke horrible, and just kind of was a non-factor. And she came back this year and won really easily her last race. And so I think this is another step. Now she's going to be probably 4 to 5.
Yep.
So my hope is that, I can play a double into her or pick 3 into this horse. And this is my single. So I'm going to try to put myself in a position where 5 wins, I'm alive to something. And that's another jockey that you got to be careful of. I like this horse so much, I don't even care that Julian is on it.
Oh, Julien Leparoux. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Julien was great about 10 years ago. And then for some reason, I don't know what happened, but he got a little, I don't know how he's right. But anyway, I like Julien on the lead, though. He can lull people to sleep all the time. I've seen that wire to wire when he needs to close as Julien. I think he's been doing a little bit better, though. I see that Leparoux with Bauer, they have a pretty good jockey trainer combo. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think Zygira is pretty strong in this race. I think there's probably I think it's either the 5 or the 3 and the 2 favorites, Heavenly Sunday and Zygira, who are the 2 that I think are the two strongest horses in this race, in the Tepin Stakes.
Yeah, looks right to me. The race 6 at Canterbury, to go back to important subjects, is at post time. They're lined up behind the gate here. We're all on the 6. The 4 is taking a bunch of money at 4 to 5. The 6 is sitting at 9 to 2 currently, and I didn't look at the double pool, so I'm just going to assume the 4 is going to. I mean, with that much money, though, the 4 is moving now up to even money from 4 to 5. But got to figure the 4 ends up as the favorite here. Seems like it's probably the speed and the pace of the race, so they just broke for me, and it drops back and can't get the lead. So nailed it on the 4 again. So 7 actually comes out as the front here. Oh, and there goes the 4 to show me that I was relatively right. And as the inside horse, sitting second at 5 to 2. Wow. God, this late money yet.
But this is interesting. The 7 taking the lead. I did not expect that. I thought the 4 had a huge speed advantage.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully our 6 is ready to go.
Yeah, hopefully the 7 drops anchor here.
The 6 does not look like he's ready to win a race today, personally.
So. No, he doesn't look like it. He's kind of running in place, unfortunately. And is this 7 going to go wire to wire on us?
The one moving out to the middle is, I always am interested when they do that. If the one figures there's no hole, no gate, no place to go, so they go outside.
7 is gone. 7
gone. Wow.
Alonso Quinones and Larry Donlin. Wow.
I bet Quinones last race, so that just figures.
But Quinones is good with but wow, that's the one you need to have in the contest because it's 7 to 1. So that was the biggest price we've had, I think, so far. So that is the one you need to have to probably win this contest now. So
that is until the next race when my 2 wins and I still run 8th because I only hit 1 and I only got to bet on 4 races. So I got that going for me. Wow. I just looking at these PPs, I don't see why the 7's one you'd want to play. Like there's nothing there that's like, yep, this one makes sense. And even at 7 to 1 in this field, like, well, there was one going off at 11 to 1. Why is this one?
I would say the 7, it's his first time he's been put up for a claim. It looks like to me. So
interesting.
And he's raced in some stakes races before.
Yeah. But he's never won like this where he's went wire to wire.
That is something that is I would say new jockey, right? So aggressive jockey who's pretty good, says breaks well. I didn't see the beginning of the break, so my guess is this is
he saw what happened to the 4, who was supposed to be the speed, and he broke aggressively and he decided to go for it, and that was the right move there.
So that's all. It's all. I could see the whole. It's one of those things. If you told me, you can only go off so much, right? So that's what's interesting about this is that sometimes I guess there's where betting a jockey can help, right? So if you're getting to a horse where you feel like, I know this jockey's going to give this horse the best chance to win. That's what I love about IRAD. I just feel like, he's always putting that. He's going to let the horse win the race, but he's going to put him in the position to win the race, and he's not. And that's what I think makes him so great.
Yeah. And looking at my note on the 7 here was that it ran against this type of level last out at 9 to 2 and finished 5th. And so those are the ones you want to kind of give that forgiveness to because you are, not running a stakes race. You don't expect a whole lot. So maybe it can bounce back and run, a race 3 back, or I guess that's 6 back at Canterbury in August, where it was like, oh yeah, it ran a huge race there and won. So there, when you get the price you want, or a price that makes sense, and $17.60 win, you can, those are the type of things that I always say. Like Dr. Tang gets to those horses because he makes those forgiveness, and it's not just Dr. Tang, but you're my default because I talk to you. So it's like. That's what good horse players can get to is you make the forgiveness on these races and you look, oh, they were in stakes races. So yeah, they aren't that good, but now they're dropping back in, get the break you want. You can see how the break can happen. And then all of a sudden they do get that sort of trip. So none of us have it, so we'll just justify it as like, oh yeah, we could definitely get there. That's an easy one to get to. I just, just didn't this time. Next time though.
Yeah, was this the wedding and the next time is the funeral? That's the concern.
Certainly, yeah, that would certainly be the way that I would look at it personally. But I thought this was a funeral too. So who knows?
Yep. All right.
So I'm going to pull up the last race because I know, Nick, you had looked at this one enough because you had an idea of getting to $100 here to then put it all on one. So we'll let you talk, and then we still have half an hour or so to the next race, or we have time to talk this one, go talk about something else, and then come back and finish this one up. So you wanted to be at $100. You missed on race 5. So where were you here, and who did you like?
Yeah, so obviously I'd be out at this point, but I liked the 7. So good trainer jockey, a lot of confidence here, claiming not claiming the horse, but had the horse at lower levels. Hasn't been on turf since last summer, and then showed up on turf after a dirt race. Like I said before, I sometimes like that angle. And I think it shows confidence moving him up. And so that's my top pick. I think the 5 is kind of like the obvious pick that people see, maybe a speed figure, or the fact that it's got a lot of early speed. If you also watch the replay on I believe it was the 7 last time it raced against the 5, and the 5 took third, was almost a wire candidate, and then got caught. If you watch the replay on this race, the 7 kind of gets in behind horses, and I wouldn't say it steadies, but it has nowhere to go. And the jockey then dives like towards the rail and tries to come up underneath horses. And that's very tough, I think, for horses to do, to pass. And it kind of runs a couple of lengths behind kind of a blanket finish. And so I kind of look at, like, if that horse didn't get caught behind horses, it might have been in that blanket finish. And the fact that they're then moving this horse up, I feel like they think, like, okay, let's get another chance with this horse. So the 7's going to be I am going to win bet it, obviously, because it's my second opinion on the card. But
yeah. So Dr. Tang, on this race, you're still in the contest, yes? Because it's one place and you have one bullet left to fire. Where are you sitting currently in the?
Yeah, I'm pretty far back.
Okay.
So I mean, if I were to play to win this contest, I'm pretty far back. The only play that I think I could contest-wise, not saying that I like this horse, is, and I'm sure everybody's going to fire it in my position, would be this 8 at 33-1. It's like a long stab shot, basically, because none of the other horses will probably get me into the top 5 at this point in time. So that's, at least you have, sometimes you don't even have a horse that can get you up there, but in this case you do have one. This super long shot at 20 at the number 8 Gainer. It doesn't look horrible. So 2 races back, even though it was on dirt, it closed. It came in second at 30-1, and it now finally has a race on the turf. Do you get a decent jockey? Constantino Roman is a decent jockey here on this circuit. The only concern is I have no clue who this trainer is. Stanky. And it looks like I don't think he's won. I don't think he's won anything in a while. But the thing is, he reclaims this horse. He was the trainer of this horse back in Fawner in May. Now he reclaims this horse. So who knows? Maybe he has this nice Attico with his horse. But this 24-1 is not. I have reasons to like this horse, not like the previous one. So I'll probably go with this one in the contest. But in terms of for a win for my top pick here, I actually kind of like this 3 Cybertruck. It's been on turf for, it's not one of these horses that run from dirt to turf. It's been strictly on turf for the past year. Last time it ran a decent race at 1 mile and 70 yards. I like the race before in May 27th, where the current jockey that's riding him took over. Esteban Martinez Got a, is at, at 4-1, but got a decent ride to come in third. Hoping that it can kind of sit off the pace that I think that the 5 and the 2 are probably going to go sit off and kind of open up at the end. So that's my kind of a little long shot. It's going off at 9-1 right now.
I like all of those reasonings. And that was going to be sort of the thought is that in a contest, you have a very different strategy than you do in real life, right? So in a contest, you're trying to hit a number and you see where you're trying to get to, whereas you don't have to bet real money on this. And so in the contest, we're in an express bet, you are actually betting real money, whereas on horse tourneys, it's mythical money. I mean,
correct.
$2 win place is money. So we should not discount that, because I should probably bet more $2 wins than I do. So it is interesting. Like in this case, I'm going to bet what I think is going to win, because I'd like to just win a bet, because I haven't hit anything. So at this point, like I'm not going to win. I'm not going to cash in this tournament. So while the strategy might be to play the biggest number just to hope to get something, if I'm not going to win the next seat, like, do I just play what I think is the most likely winner and go that route? Or is that the right way to play, or do I still just play for the biggest number and pray?
I mean, at this point, I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. So leaders at $50. So I'm at $8. So I need to make up at least 42. And the question is, the people above me, are they going to block me as well? So, I don't think I have a shot to win this, but to give yourself a shot, you would have to play something that gets you at least $42 or more. And in this case, it's only going to be the 8, it looks like. But again, sometimes I play, sometimes you don't even have a shot. So you're like, oh, maybe I can get some breakage. So you can play the horse that you think is at 9-1. Maybe that can get you some breakage as well. So it's two different things. If you think you're completely out of it, but if you're in it, I always go for the win. I try to go for the win, get the $64 or $56. But if you're out of it, you can always get your breakage and play tomorrow.
Yeah, makes sense. So I mentioned that I like the Tizano, the number 2, and I read the wrong note. I like the 1 in the last race because of its SoCal move. So I don't actually have an opinion in this race. So I'm going to look as I ask Nick a question. I'll come up with something super smart, and I'll finally hit a winner, and it'll be 2-1, and we'll all be happy. So with the idea that we have one race left and we shouldn't fire all of our money at 5:30, 5:53 on a Wednesday, but say I wanted to play a trifecta here, do you have any opinions on how to get to an exacta trifecta horse in a race like this, where there isn't a whole lot of anything making a lot of sense? It's kind of all over the place. Nick, do you play verticals? And if so, what do you look for to get a second and third place horse?
Yes, I play verticals, and actually I have on turf, I have what I feel is like I don't want to call it an angle, but I call it sort of a process, or like a platform of how you kind of structure a trifecta or a super. So on turf, if I believe that the speed on turf is of quality versus the field, but I don't think it's going to win, I feel a lot of times that they show speed and fade to third. And so I really like taking a horse like this 5. And Michael's kind of hitting on it, right? So I really like to key the 5, like with my most logical bet. So I would take the 7 and key him on top. I would take the 5 and key in third. And then I would take the other horses, like maybe the 1, the 3, the 4, different horses that show show some late pace, right? So they can clunk up late in a turf race, and then put those all in second and play that for the most amount of money. Then I would take probably the same opinion and go 7-5 in case he holds for second with some of these other ones, and play for a less amount of money. And I really like taking the speed horse and kind of keying in that third spot a lot. And that's and you kind of pick your winner, right? I like the 7, so I'm going to key him there. And that's kind of how I'm going to format that try, or a super. If you wanted, it's not big enough for me to play super. I would need more horses.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I like it. I
think
mean, that's
considering that the 7 to me is a 5-1 on top. I'd really like to play like the 7 probably over the 1, 4, 6, or maybe the 1, 3, 4, 6, and then the 5 and third. So and just toss the 8, toss the 2. I think is kind of sneak. I think he's going to be a speed factor, which is kind of what I'm hoping will cause the 5 to fade. And I'm just hoping that the 5 is a better speed horse than the 2, and the 2 fades completely out. So I would kind of toss the 2 out as well.
Yeah, those are the type of analysis that I always find interesting. Is how do you get to something like that? Because I try to play horizontals, and I've tried my best to stop playing them because I'll get 1 or 2, but I won't hit all 5. And at that point, I hit 2 winners, and I'll end up with $0. So then, well, you can play a little bit smaller with these exactas and trifectas and have your win bet, and then play a little bit in those underneaths to make some money. So I like the way that plays out, and that makes a lot of sense. Dr. Tang, do you play verticals? I know you said you didn't really, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Does what he's saying make sense? Do you like the analysis, or do you have a different idea of how you would play a vertical bet?
No, I absolutely I love Seaver's analysis from that standpoint. I'm not your best in terms of vertical players or anything like that. Again, I'm a horizontal player, but I like that strategy from Seavers where try to key a horse and then kind of go from there. I mean, again, if you hit it's one of those things. If you like a horse, key it so you can, make a profit on your best bet, if that makes sense in the race.
So we're going to take Shadi's advice because, why not? She's the one here telling us what to do, and I'll listen to her. So I like Nick's 7 on top. Dr. Tang, you good with 7 on top for a cold super?
I'm good with that.
Okay. You like the 8, right?
Well, for the contest, I like the 3 actually in this race.
Okay. So do you want to do a 7-3 as the first 2, and then we kind of clunk it up and throw the 5 in third? Because Feldman said, "Oh, the 5's going to fade back and run third." So we do a 7-3-5 to start our cold super.
I think that looks good to me.
All right, I like it. Dr. Tang, are you in 7-3-5 as our start of our cold super?
I like it.
Okay, so then we got to figure out this 4th horse. So we'll give you our cold super, our cold try of 7-3-5. So I think we all have to play that at this point. We owe it to Shadi for that. So where do we go for 4th? Who do you like as a clunk up type? Nick, you were talking one closing, a horse closing in a turf race like this as you're underneath, but you were also saying that the 2 could muck up the speed and maybe it'll hold. So do you like the 2 in 4th, or do you like a closer coming for 4th?
Considering that I think the 5 I think the 5 would take the. No, I would go with like the 1, or possibly the 4 as a 4th place horse, maybe the 6 as well. So those would be my thoughts there.
Okay,
but
so Dr.
really at this point, I know we're doing a cold super, but at this point, I would put them all there and playing for $1.
Dr. Tank, who do you like as our cold one? And then we'll give out a more widespread. So we'll have our pinpoint laser accuracy, and then we'll have our shotgun approach of 3 horses in 4th. Going real wide here at the end of the night.
So wait, what's the question?
Who do you like in 4th? When we have the 7 in 1st, 3 running 2nd, 5 running 3rd, where do you land for our cold super here for Shadi?
Shadi, let's give her the 6.
Okay, Nick, you mentioned the 6, so we're going to go 7-3-5-6 cold.
Love that.
Nick, do you have any strong opinions here? Okay, so let's write it out. 7 with 3 with 5 with 6. There you go. There's our cold super. So now we're going to play a little more caveman approach here. Dr. Tang, you like the 3 to win. Nick likes the 7. Do you ever play a super with 2 on top, or do we always play a super with 1 on top and go wider? What do you think, Dr. Tang?
It depends on the situation because there's horses that love to run second. So sometimes when I see that, I'll key that horse second, and then I'll play because I'm like torn between 2 horses that'll win, and I hate when like that horse doesn't win, then you get you get knocked out. But yeah, I mean, usually I would generally play the horse I like the most alone at top. But if I really like a horse that continues to run second or likes to show all the time, then I'll key that horse, and then I'll put the 2 winners on top, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So in this situation, is that one of those where you're a spread, or this race specifically? Then let's get more specific here.
Sure.
How much do you like the 3 to actually win, or do you think it's more of a underneath with a shot at the win?
I think it's more of an underneath with a shot at the win. I think if I really want, I mean, just looking at the merits of this race, I think definitely the 7 has a huge shot to win. In terms of playing the super, if we want to have value, if I would hate to lose the value if the 3 wins, at 8-1 or whatever it's at right now. So I would put the 7-3 on top. Then I would go the 5. Either I would put the 5 by itself to place or show, because I think if it doesn't win, because it's the speed horse and it drops anchor, it's probably going to end up 3rd or 2nd. So I'd either put that in the 2nd or 3rd spot. And then the other horses that we liked were the 6, I believe, right? And I think the favorite can, I wouldn't leave him off the super. Probably put him in 3rd or 4th.
All right, Nick, same question to you. We're going to put you a little bit on the spot here. What do you think? What's your shotgun approach for a superfecta in a 8-horse turf race at Canterbury on a Wednesday night?
I would probably, if I was going to structure it, I'd probably go 3-7, 3-7, 5. And then I would go all in last, which technically is not all, but would be the 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I would play that for like 50 cents. And then I'd come back with like a 10-cent super, and then put the 5 and 4th with those horses in 3rd. And basically saying we want to hit the 7-3 exacta, right? Either one. And then if that exacta hits and the 5 runs 3rd or 4th, we know we're going to hit a bet, hopefully for 50 cents, right, or if not for 10. That's kind of how I would structure something like this, where I've one thing I've definitely learned, and for anyone out there, is like, it's not bad to, in my opinion, it's not necessarily bad to box things, but you should always be boxing for more money on your stronger opinions, or putting more money towards your stronger opinion, not just doing that. So that's kind of how I would. I mean, if you really got deep, you would do like a 7-3-5 all for or a 7-3-5 all for more, and then a 3-7 for a little bit less, things like that. But in this situation, we don't have to get too detailed and deep dive.
Yeah, after looking a little bit more,
then you might go 7-3-5, 7-3 all type thing too. That's kind of how you kind of keep moving them around.
Yeah, and with the supers like that, I hate the 10-cent minimum, because it does allow you to basically bet all when it's all said and done. And some of them you're getting for 20 cents, and some you're getting for 10 cents. But it does lower the payouts in that regard. But in the actual ticket that I would do, I think I'm with you, is that let's throw the 5 into 3rd as a fading out horse. So single the 5 in 3rd, play your 2 favorite choices in the 3 and the 7 in 1st and 2nd. So we do get to do that 3-7 exacta. And if 3-7 exacta box hits, we're all pretty happy, because we're getting decent enough prices there. And I haven't looked at the probables, but it looks 10-1 on the 3 makes sense. So a 3-7 with 3-7 with 5 with 1, 2, 4, 6, and we're just going to toss the 8, because we're not going to hit the all button in our first show. So we'll leave off the 8, and with leaving off the 8, we'll ensure that it runs 3rd. And blows us out of the water.
No, don't leave the 8 off. We gotta let's get that 8 in there.
All right, it takes a lot to have me add a horse here in a superfecta in 4th. So I'm going to give us the first ever official Racing Dudes After Dark superfecta. So we have our cold one for Shoddy. Our Shoddy cold super is 7356, and then our play is going to be a 3-7 with 3-7 with 5 with all, because Nick Feldman loves the all button. That's what the end of the show is going to tell us, that Nick Feldman only bets jockeys and he only bets the all button. So we're going to learn about him today.
I'll take that.
Hey, I'm here for it. That, what else are you going to do? So I actually have to put this bet in, because I can't possibly put this up on the screen, have it actually hit, and then me not make any money on it.
Yeah.
So I'll gladly spend. It's a 5. I put it in for 50 cents. For 50 cents, it's $5. So you can play a 10-cent for $1. In worst case scenario, you lose $1.
Yeah.
I have a great story about getting out of bed and then not hitting it. 2017 Kentucky Derby, and I'm with my good friend Mason Webb, and we're betting the day. And my dad calls, who's not really into horse racing at all, but it's the Derby, so he's interested. And he calls and he says, "Give me a bet." And so my buddy Mason tells him to bet the 5-14 over the 5-14-10 or something like that. And I'm shocked I can remember the numbers, but basically that was Always Dreaming the year that he won, and Looking at Lee came in second. So we really loved Classic Empire that day, who was the 14 horse. And so I guess it would have been 5-14 over the 5-14, and then some other horse and we told him bet $5 exact. I think it cost $45 or something like that. And well, by the time we got to the Derby, we got so detailed into trying to just hammer things that we never bet. We kind of concentrated too much on Classic Empire, not enough on Always Dreaming. And we didn't even hit that exacta. And so my dad, when he went to put in the ticket, he was putting in tickets, and then he hit ours that he put in and hit for $895 or something. And he was just, probably the only bet he's ever cashed, but also the biggest. He was just so excited. And then he calls us and he's all excited, and we're like, well, we didn't even bet that.
So one of my favorite things about ExpressBet, and it's not for every track, but on this track at Canterbury, they do give you the trifecta probables. And so I always love looking at these because it's a lot of fun. A 7-3-5 cold trifecta is paying $95.80 for 50 cents. So we'll see if the magic mark. Wow, it's really late, apparently. The Racing Dudes After Dark Army can drive that down from $95.80, because I just put $5 on it. So I'm waiting for that click to come down, and more than likely the next click will move it up because nobody else is betting. It's just me and being dumb. But one of the best things about these tournaments where you do have the live money is that the probables that show you the trifectas. So if I don't see any other ADWs doing that, I don't know. Do you guys ever see any other ADWs show you trifecta probables?
No, it taught me last time how to look at it. Nick Feldman, on ExpressBet. That's only, because I don't see it in TVG. Yeah,
so it is. It's only select tracks. It's mainly the Stronach tracks, because Stronach owns First Racing and ExpressBet and all those things. But it's definitely something that's interesting to me, that when you're in those live money contests, it gives you a real shot of knowing what you need and what you're going to get for it. Because if you look at the exactas, and I was going to also point out that the 7-3 exacta is paying quite well, currently sitting at $156 for 2. So again, if we're going to go with what we're saying here, the 7-3 exacta and the 3-7 exacta box is 3-7 is $198. So if we get Dr. Tang home on a turf race, in an allowance race, this is where Dr. Tang shines. So I'm going to put extra pressure on that 3 coming in here, and we can be happy. So we got a minute to post, and I just rambled a little bit. I'm good at filling time, as it turns out. So Other than the 3 and 7, we don't really want anything. We really want the 5 and 2 to really push the pace, right? That's what we're shooting for. 2, 5 going too fast, 5 collapses, 7 and 3 pick up and close it out. Yes,
Yep.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's how we're seeing it.
Absolutely. And I just changed my contest bet. My 3 is now at 16-1. So I crossed off the 8. I like my 15-1 now. So let's see how that goes. Because that'll get me there, hopefully. Hopefully not too many.
If the 3, so Dr. Tang, and if the 3 wins currently, where will that put you in the contest?
So if the 3 wins, so we're thinking
assuming not everybody else has it.
Yeah, we're thinking everybody it's going off at 16-1, correct? So that'll be about $35 for win, and then place, if I calculate correctly, maybe $12, $13. So that's 34. So about 48-ish. So 48, and it will hit me at 56. The leader right now is at 50. Top 7 get the $300 seat. So I think that will get me there unless people all of a sudden everybody uses it and I get blocked. But I'm thinking top 4 or 5 are not going to obviously use that 3. They're going to, because they're looking for the quote unquote winner. So they may be picking, for example, your 7, the 1 and things, or even the 5 from that standpoint. So yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for.
The 5 has a very lone lead here, but he's going super fast. I think 22.6 for the opening quarter here.
Pretty darn fast.
And the 2's in second, chasing. The 7 is got a little bit of a wide trip, but it feels like the jockey knows that he's got some horse, which is good. So we need the 5 to puke a little bit, and I think we might have a chance here.
Which the 5 did last out, going 22.5 and 45.3.
It's going really fast.
Yep, going just about there, and he ended up in 3rd last time, going a mile. So he's running at basically the same level, going the same pace, and ran 3rd last time. So we'll see if we can get the 5 to puke.
7 is not going to win today, but the 1 looks pretty strong here.
Here they come for him as he gets swallowed up.
The 6 is running. The 4 looks like the winner.
The 4.
5 held on for second.
5 came in for second, as we thought it would, second or third.
4 was the morning favorite, floated up to 5-1.
Wow.
It was the dead, quote unquote, dead closer too, but it didn't really. Wow.
Yeah. So 4, 5, 1, 3. It looked like, or 4, 5, 3, 1. 3, 1 seemed to clunk up for 3rd and 4th. What I saw, anyways. But I'm watching on half of a TVG screen on my phone over here, so we'll see if I'm right.
4, 5.
Or is it the 6?
1, 6. 4, 5, 1, 6.
Or 1, 6. Yeah. So we kind of, we didn't get the 4.
And they're actually no clear-cut favorite like it looked like when it opened, and the 5 went off at, when they were going into the gate, he was pretty low and ended up 2-1. So not a terrible price on the 5. I mean, obviously running second doesn't help you any, but I'm going to run some analysis. I'm going to see what the double pools did versus what the win bets actually went off, and see. I did it twice earlier this year, and they were both Saturdays, so I kind of took it as a Saturday thing. That the the double pools was pretty good compared to the win pool, and I'll check on a Wednesday night, see if there's a huge difference there. I can't imagine there is, though, but that's my thought. So 4 made sense, right? I mean, morning line favorite, nothing.
Yeah. I thought it was the dead closer. I didn't know that. I mean, I thought it wanted somebody more up front, but it was. I mean, it wasn't way back, right?
One thing I will say, the 5 almost ran almost like a runoff, is what I call them on turf races, where it's just
like suicide.
And it becomes what I always know about the runoff turf races is that it is very hard for the rest of the jockeys to time their race right.
Correct.
And so I hate these type of turf races because I think that a jockey doesn't move fast enough, move too soon, and then you get kind of an unrealistic result. Now, I'm not saying that the 4 is an unrealistic winner, right? But there's some other horses I would bet that if the jockey looked back, they might have, panicked or maybe not timed the ride right, or the horse just, that 2 horse is now running 5 lengths behind for no reason. He's done. He gets in the way of another horse. So just very interesting when turf races are run like this. I don't like it personally. I kind of saw that 5 running off there, and I felt like that's a good opportunity to beat him. But then you're just kind of hoping that you're just the horse that's going to win at that point.
And I have to point out that we have 2 people in the comments asking for more of this. So Magic, make sure I see you in there. We have fans. We want to talk about harness racing and quarter horse racing. So we may drive away everybody but Michael and Shoddy, but we can go back and forth. We got 3 quarter horse races here at Canterbury. Everybody knows about the quarter horses at Canterbury, right? Like that's a big play of the day.
Yeah, 1, 2. Oh, there's only 5 horses, so never mind.
4561 was the official, and the 10 cent paid $40.
Wow, that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
No crazy prices. 4561.
Especially considering if you looked at the morning line, it was the top 2 choices.
Yep.
So we didn't have any huge prices, right? The race
the largest
6
price was race 6. Yeah, the one that went off at 7-1. Correct.
But then we had a pick 5 that paid $6,700.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes those are the best. Yep. I mean, basically everybody, everyone played one favorite and no favorite. Right. I mean, it's just kind of one of those.
Yep.
I don't think we had a favorite win, right?
No. No. We did not have a favorite that one. Yep. It beat all the favorites. Yeah. And then that's why I think a lot of people may have singled that 2 in race 4. That was it looks like the heaviest bet favorite, and that's why I went against it. Lovely. I had my single in the pick 5, but couldn't hit it. Oh well.
So I just looking back because I don't remember the prices exactly, but in race 5 we had a $12 winner, which is a big enough price to give you some separation. A $17 winner in race 6, and then this one was a $13 winner. So you don't need to beat the favorites to get paid, but when you get 3 that are, you don't need the 20-1 shot, I guess is the point is you get 3 4 to 5 to 1s in a row, and you clear a lot of hurdles. You get a lot of separation from people who are, playing a single somewhere. And when you beat that 2-1 or whatever, you really escalate these prices. So not to mention the 14% takeout or 10% takeout on this is a good way of making some money.
No, it's and it's a good. That's what makes it a good bet too. So,
yeah. All right. Well, I think 2 hours and 15 minutes of the 3 of us talking about Canterbury is probably more than the world's ever asked for. But we still got people watching and stuff. People ask.
Maybe if we get a second chance, we'll have some. We can log on to get some late double Saratoga or Del Mar action. We don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
We don't know.
Have to ask Aaron. What do you thought?
I'm pulling up the quarter horses first, Shoddy, just so I can take a quick peek because I didn't even know that they were there because Timeform doesn't have quarter horses, so I didn't even know this race was going on. So I probably missed more quarter horse races than I could have. Got quarter horses is you get 6 horses, 2 Kansas breds, or a Kansas bred against 5 Oklahoma. I'm losing the internet, I can tell. Always good. It's a great way to end the show that was actually almost flawless, we have to say. Almost flawless as my internet starts dropping on me. So I think that'll do it for tonight. I think this was fun. I think we had a good time. I think we covered what we were looking for, yes. Dr. Tang, any other great ideas before we end the show tonight?
Nope. I thought it was a great show. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. Felton, how'd you do? How did you like it?
Okay,
Oh,
Tapper.
I loved it. I had a lot of fun. We learned a lot. That's what the kind of the point is. We kind of got to learn about win place contests and live money contests, and we had a good discussion. So it was a lot of fun.
And for the record, if I would have known how to start the thing, Magic told me 3 times you have to press go live twice, and I pressed it once. Two times I pressed it only one time, and then yelled at Magic that I was wrong, and here I am. So we were on time, but I asked Magic if it was a Racing Dudes tradition that we had to be late, and he told me yes, we had to be late. So that's what I did just for that. So hopefully we will do this again. We plan to do Wednesday nights Canterbury Pick 5 because as we just showed, it paid $6,700, and none of us got there. We likely wouldn't have gotten there, if we're being honest, but you can definitely see there's a route to get there when you just have a couple of, $10, $12, $13 winners in a row. So it was great talking to you guys. I appreciate everybody showing up and you guys for dealing with me. So what? Oh, wait.
Thanks to the Racing Dudes and thanks to you, Nick, for hosting. That was incredible.
Wow, incredible. More. It was incredible that they let us do it. So he told me I forgot, Magic, if you're here still, I hope I'm going to hit the intro button as the outro. And I'm pretty sure that's right. I never watched the end because at that point it's just Magic saying something. And I'm always like, yeah, it's all right. Magic won't mind if I don't see him saying something about it. Going to racingdudes.com, premium selections, go and buy them. I'm sure they have great picks for Ellis Park this week because Aaron, I'm sure, has those up already. Because we're 2 hours in, I'll just give the promotion that I love Racing Dudes, and I still subscribe to pay for picks from Aaron. I don't even look at him because me and Aaron disagree on a lot of things, and he's right way more than me, so maybe I should just pay attention to him. But, here we are. So I will hit the intro button as the outro and hope that's right, and then I'll hit the in broadcast button up there, and fingers crossed it works. Otherwise, you guys will just see us talking in the background. Let's give it a shot.